So that was the trailer. All right, that was the trailer, and Drinker put out a video. Oop, hang on, wrong one. I gotta use this source. Drinker put out a video saying that The Mandalorian is not going to save Star Wars. So let's hear what the Drinker has to say about this.
As a brand, Star Wars isn't just on life support at this point. It's already been declared legally dead, the paperwork's been filed, its friends and relatives have gathered around to mourn it, and it's currently being lowered down 6 feet into the cold, dark embrace of eternal sleep. The only thing that could possibly turn these grim proceedings around is a glorious return to the silver screen in the grandest fashion imaginable. A new movie that would capture the hearts and minds of audiences worldwide, the kind of cultural lightning bolt that made A New Hope into an instant classic. The point is...
Golly. And I know he's being facetious here, bearing that in mind, but wow, Drinker's got a lot of fucking hope for Disney and Star Wars right now. There is legitimately, I don't think that Disney and Star Wars can do anything right now to bring it back. They could put out an absolute banger of a fucking movie and no one would go see it. Like, they could put out one of the best Star Wars movies of all time, and right now, no one would care. Because everybody just Disney is a tarnished brand. Okay? Yeah, and Bandsler, you're right. The good stuff that Disney did put out, Andor and the one that was like a kids show. Like was it called Skeleton Crew? I think it was more kid centric. Where it was like a bunch of kids got onto a ship. Yeah, I think it was Skeleton Crew. It was a bunch of kids got onto a ship. The ship jumps and they're trying to find their way back. Like, from what I heard, that was actually a decent show, but nobody watched it. So, like, even the good shows that they put out, like Andor and Skeleton Crew, nobody watched it because Disney is a tarnished brand. It is a completely tarnished brand, and absolutely no, but absolutely no one trusts Disney or Star Wars to put out anything good. Nobody cares anymore. They could put out an absolute banger, and people are like, I'm fucking done. It's just like with Star Wars. It's just like with Doctor Who. Doctor Who, they could put out an absolute banger of an episode, of a season. Nobody's gonna fucking care because too many people have walked away from the franchise because they've been burned and insulted so many times. They're like, fuck it, I'm done. And there's honestly nothing that they could do to bring back. The only solution would be to shelve the entire franchise for like 10 years. That is the only thing that they can do to bring this back, is to literally shelve it because that's what Doctor Who's doing. Doctor Who is probably going to get shelved for at least a decade before they start doing new episodes. Star Wars needs to do the same damn thing. Shelve it for 10 years. Do not do anything Star Wars for at least cinematically for 10 years. And then maybe when you get in a whole new showrunner, a whole new writing, a whole new creative team, someone that actually respects the IP, then maybe people might be willing to come back. But it's got to go away for 10 years. We cannot hear about anything Star Wars for 10 years. And honestly, they need to sell the franchise to another studio. That's another thing. Disney needs to sell the Star Wars IP to another studio. That's the only way anybody's going to trust it right now. Nobody fucking trusts Disney with Star Wars. And yes, no shadow, Mandalorian is Star Wars. Yes, indeed.
Disney needed to do something seriously big to win back the cultural momentum and the fan goodwill they've burned up over the past decades. Not just a big budget movie with a massive marketing push designed to grab headlines, but a statement of intent, saying one thing loud and clear.
Tristan, to your point, who's gonna buy it though? They destroyed the IP. It is destroyed under Disney. If another studio that people still have confidence in purchased the IP and that studio said everything Disney put out is not canon, we are starting over from post Return of the Jedi and we're starting new. Then they might actually get fans back if they did that. If another studio bought the IP, publicly came out and said everything Disney put out is not canon. It's an ultimate timeline. We're starting over from after after the Return of the Jedi, and we are starting over. Then maybe people might come back. Well, yes, Rebin. That's the problem. Is nobody has any confidence in any of the studios right now. Nobody has any confidence in Hollywood, unless they're able to get it to a moderate-sized indie studio that has autonomy. Which, again, I understand that's a pipe dream. I'm fully aware and appreciate that. That the Star Wars IP going to an indie studio of moderate success that could actually afford the IP is pipe dream. I appreciate that. But it's got to be a studio that people actually trust. So, and they basically just have to reboot it post Return of the Jedi. Like I've said it before, they need to reboot Star Wars post Return of the Jedi and recast all of the main characters. Recast Luke, recast Leia, recast Han. Recast all of your main characters and restart the IP post Return of the Jedi and actually follow the established canon works in the books. Do the Heir to the Empire series, do the Volksong War. Actually, you have these really great stories that were already written down that people fucking loved. Yeah, bringing Mara Jade into it in a good way. Actually, follow the established lore that everybody knows and loves. And you might actually get people back.
But a statement of intent, saying one thing loud and clear. We are back, motherfuckers, and we ain't going anywhere. Or they could just shout out a completely uninspired and predictable big screen adaptation of the one and only vaguely marketable character that Disney managed to fall ass backwards into over the past decade and spent 3 entire seasons milking so hard that its nipples are gonna need medical grade anti-chafing cream for the next several months.
What? God, that was a visual. Holy. And one thing I will point out is Mandalorian was a good character.
The timeline that Disney created is so far away from the actual timeline that George wanted.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Here's the funny thing, though. The Mandalorian was a good franchise. Was a good sub-franchise in Star Wars. First season, people fucking loved The Mandalorian from the first season. I loved The Mandalorian from, The Mandalorian's first season. I thought The Mandalorian was a fresh, new Star Wars property with a character that I was like, okay, he's a badass, but he's not invincible. But he's still he's unquestionably a badass, and he was a character in a story that you can enjoy. Second season, I'm not sure if I would classify second season. Well, I mean, yeah, second season was peak, but you started to see a few of the cracks in season 2, like when they had him take off his helmet. Granted, they did work with storyline on that. And then you had, season 2.5 in the Boba Fett one, where you had the Mandalorian story continue in the Book of Boba Fett. And then season 3 was just a fucking travesty. Season 3 was universally hated by people. Everybody fucking hated season 3 of Mandalorian, and all of that goodwill that Disney built up with the Mandalorian died with season 3. All of that goodwill, people are like, fuck this, I'm done. Because season 3 was a shit show. They basically cucked the main character from The Mandalorian, and they made Bo-Katan the main character of season 3. So the character that we were with, Din Djarin, for seasons 1 and 2, looking after Grogu, was
I think I would have rather seen Luke being the Jedi leader and the Jedi Academy from the video games than the way Disney took it.
Yeah, I know. But in season 3, the character that we were with the whole time became a side character. He became a side character in his own franchise. And it was the Bo-Katan show after that. And people, oh dear fucking God, did people stand for this shit? They were standing so hard when Bo-Katan basically took over. You would not believe some of the comment sections that I saw. Where they were like, well, the show is called The Mandalorian. It could be any Mandalorian. And I'm pretty sure fucking people at Disney were saying this too. Well, it could be any Mandalorian. If Bo-Katan's a Mandalorian, so the show is called The Mandalorian. It doesn't have to be Din. It could be any Mandalorian. It's like, no, fuck you. We spent 2 fucking seasons with Din Djarin being the main character, the Mandalorian, and then you're gonna kick us in the nuts or in the cooch, depending, to say, oh no, it's actually Bo-Katan's story, and she's actually the Mandalorian because she's the leader of the Mandalorian, and this is it, right? You love this. You have to love this, right? It's like, what the fuck? And Disney was basically saying you're an istophobe if you're pissed off about the fact that the main character that you were with for 2 seasons that you have come to enjoy and really appreciate as a main character and were thrilled about gets cucked and turned into a side character, and you get pissed off and Disney calls you an istophobe for it. And not to mention the shit that they were doing with Grogu, like, oh, Grogu's now going to get trained as a Mandalorian. It's like, they basically had something great with seasons 1 and 2, and then season 3 came around and they basically just shat themselves in their adult diaper, like the fucking like that fucking engineer sergeant we looked at yesterday. They just basically shit themselves with season 3 and said, "Doesn't this smell great?"
The first theatrical movie about the Mandalorian and Grogu, helpfully titled The Mandalorian and Grogu. Oh my goodness, try to contain that wild creativity, Lucasfilm. You're making the rest of us look bad. Is on the way, and the first trailer dropped a few days ago to thunderous disinterest. Seriously,
Yep.
After 6 years without producing a single movie, this is what you choose as your big comeback?
Not a great plan.
Not only does the trailer itself look boring as fuck,
By the way, look at the amount of CGI they put on Sigourney Weaver. And look at the amount of de-aging that they've used on Sigourney Weaver in this shot. Like, God bless Sigourney Weaver. I think Sigourney Weaver is fantastic. She is not this young. Okay, they de-aged the shit out of her. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why they de-aged the fuck out of her, but 100% they fucking did.
big comeback?
Not a great plan.
Not only does the trailer itself look boring as fuck, showcasing a bunch of uninspired locations and goofy action scenes that look no better than an episode of the TV show, while telling us absolutely nothing about the story and characters. Wow, can't wait for another 2 hours of that fucking green animatronic puppet wandering around doing the same shtick he's been doing since 2019. They really are stuck in a catch-22 situation with this stupid fucking thing.
It's not even like going around doing the same shtick. They highlighted him. They highlighted Grogu in the trailer. The trailer was all about Grogu, which really worries me, because does that mean we're going to be seeing more of Grogu than Mando in the show where, you know, it's an animatronic puppet wandering around? I fucking hope not. It's like you cannot do a good story with Grogu being the main character. And the way that they marketed that trailer looks like he's going to be the main character, which is not good. When you've got basically the warrior incarnate in The Mandalorian. Granted, they cucked the fuck out of his warriorness in the last season, but that's a whole different thing.
They really are stuck in a catch-22 situation with this stupid fucking thing. Keeping him as a wordless baby forever would nuke any possibility of progress or development because he literally can't communicate, but on the other hand, the moment he actually starts talking and growing up, he stops being the cute little baby Yoda that sold more merch than every other Disney Star Wars character combined. That's why he was supposed to leave the show after season 2, because Jon Favreau had literally run out of things to do with him. From a visual point of view, that trailer is so completely soulless and directionless that it reminds me of those AI generated trailers still doing the rounds. Like, what if Lord of the Rings was reimagined as a 1980s action flick? Shit man, I'd watch that. Or Resident Evil was remade as a 1950s Panavision horror movie. It's nothing but concept art with a bit of animation to it, and it's not even especially creative or interesting. The casting isn't exactly blowing my underwear apart either. You know, there was a time when seeing Sigourney Weaver in a major franchise movie was kind of a big deal, like a stamp of approval from a respected actress who could afford to be selective about her roles. I mean, if Ellen fucking Ripley decides to show up in your movie, then you're probably in for some kind of good time at least. But after looking at some of the absolute slop she's done in recent years for a quick and easy paycheck, well, maybe not so much. She's become like a female Samuel L. Jackson, who used to be the epitome of cool, the kind of actor that could elevate any movie he was in by his sheer presence alone, then lost the ability to say no about 5 years ago, and just shows up in basically any production that'll have him now. Shit man, last year alone he was in like 8 different projects.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Speaking of actors who can't say no to a role, it's nice to see Pedro Pascal back in action for the first time in literally weeks. I mean, I say he's in the movie, but for all I know, he recorded his lines from a fucking sound booth in his pajamas and let some stunt.
Oh, he did. 100% he did. Pedro Pascal is not wearing this armor. No shot. They have got a stuntman doing, you know, unless there's a scene in this movie where Mando takes off his helmet, again, 100% Pedro Pascal is not in this costume. This is going to be a stuntman in this costume the whole time. I will guarantee it. Just like I don't think Pedro Pascal was in the costume the whole time during the television production. The only time Pedro was in costume, I think, when he was doing the TV show is when he took his helmet off. That is like, I think, the only time he was actually in the costume. So yeah, this is gonna be a stuntman the whole damn time.
But for all I know, he recorded his lines from a fucking sound booth in his pajamas and let some stunt guy do the actual performance on set. Wouldn't be the first time either. He's made no secret of the fact that he'd outgrown the Mandalorian after season 2 and had no interest in walking around with a fucking helmet on his head 95% of the time, so unless it gets conveniently destroyed in the first 5 minutes and he's allowed to have that glorious moustache on display, I'm not exactly expecting great things from him with this one. But the bigger problem with all this is that, well, nobody really gives a shit about The Mandalorian anymore. Yeah, it was kind of a big deal on Disney Plus 5 years ago for maybe 2 seasons, but marginal success on an obscure streaming platform doesn't translate into widespread appeal and billion-dollar box office hauls.
Oh yes, Iron Johan. Hey, I just showed the trailer just before we jumped into this react. Did you not see it? Yes. They're doing a movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it looks like shit. It looks fucking terrible.
Streaming platform doesn't translate into widespread appeal and billion-dollar box office hauls, 2 things which Star Wars movies really need in order to succeed these days. It feels more like a movie made through a process of elimination instead of any kind of artistic drive, like a bunch of money men sat down in a boardroom, analysed user trends and merchandise sales, and concluded that The Mandalorian was the property most likely to generate a profit. Just another dry, clinical business decision from a company that stopped being about artistic merit like 15 years ago. And that's even assuming
Yep.
everyone who saw it still has a favourable opinion of The Mandalorian, which, let's be honest, hasn't been true for a long time now. Season
Yep.
3 was a tedious, laughable disaster that proved that Grogu had well and truly
God,
outstayed
yes.
his welcome, that visited upon us the horrors of Jack Black.
There we go. Yeah. This episode. Jack Black and fucking Lizzo. Yeah, okay. Question. Question for you, chat. How many of you, prior to this episode of The Mandalorian in Season 3, how many of you had even heard of Lizzo before this episode? Show of hands. Who had actually even heard of her before this episode aired? I sure as fuck didn't. I know, I had no fuck. Everybody was like talking about when the episode came out. Everybody was talking about, oh, Lizzo in one way or the other. And I'm like, and I'm sitting here going, who the fuck is Lizzo? I had no fucking clue who she was. And it's just, oh. Yeah, and then she actually like popped
This
off.
looks more like something from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy than Star Wars.
Yeah, Garrett, that's people, I think I've heard people say that they tried to show new star environments in Star Wars. In The Mandalorian, they tried to like expand the in-universe, and it didn't quite work in Season 3. It just didn't work the way they were doing it. Yeah, I mean, the episode with Christopher Lloyd was okay. Actually, that was this episode, Bossler. The episode with Christopher Lloyd was literally this episode. And it was okay. Christopher Lloyd was fine in it. It was just,
Black and Lizzo trying to act. And pushed Mando to the periphery of his own show in favour of his more diverse and politically acceptable
Yeah.
replacement, Bo-Katan.
Yep.
Yet another generic Star Wars girl boss so famously lacking in anything even resembling a personality that she literally triggered an existential crisis in the actress playing her and destroyed her confidence in her own acting ability for years afterwards.
So basically, it didn't work for 3 years after Star Wars show because she didn't understand her character. Wow. She did not work for 3 years after The Mandalorian because she couldn't understand the character they wrote for her, and it broke her. The writers of The Mandalorian and Disney broke Katie Sackhoff because their writing was so fucking bad. Well, and bearing in mind, Katie Sackhoff. Okay, so Katie Sackhoff, she played in the Mandalorian series. She played the character of Bo-Katan. Bearing in mind, she also voiced the character of Bo-Katan in the animated Star Wars show Rebels, which is highly acclaimed. People loved the show Rebels. They loved it, and they liked Katie Sackhoff's character. They liked Bo-Katan in Rebels. They thought she was a fantastic character. She was a fan favorite character. In the live action, Disney, the writers at Disney fucked up so hard that Katie Sackhoff didn't work for 3 years after season 3 because she couldn't understand she couldn't understand the character because they wrote it so poorly. They wrote her character so fucking poorly in The Mandalorian season 3 that it broke her confidence, and she didn't work for 3 fucking years. That's Disney Star Wars. That is where we are at with Disney fucking Star Wars. They take an established, well-liked character, bring them back to make her, to try and continue for her to be the badass she was in her previous incarnation, and they fuck it up so badly, the actress playing her broke and couldn't work for 3 years. That is like S tier levels of fucking shit up. S tier right there.
In the actress playing her and destroyed her confidence in her own acting ability for years afterwards. Damn man, imagine knowing you'd written a character so thoroughly shit that it made the actress want to give up acting.
Oh man. Oh God. Oh man.
What I'm trying to say with all this pish is that even though The Mandalorian was probably the best of the utter sludge being pumped onto the Star Wars section on Disney Plus, with one obvious exception, even at its peak it never really
What? Okay, hold up.
section on Disney Plus, with one obvious exception,
Which no one watched the last season of. It got high praise, like no one watched Andor. It got high fucking praise from critics and fans, and no one watched it. No one fucking watched this show. And it was good. That tells you where people are with Star Wars. Nobody fucking cares anymore. People are done with Star Wars. It is a dead brand.
even at its peak, it never really crossed into mainstream awareness. The average person on the street had no fucking idea who Din Djarin, Bo-Katan or Grogu were, and let's be real, its peak was a long time ago at this point. Now it's seen as kind of an unfunny joke with no punchline, and the disaster of Season 3 has probably caused a lot of people to
No, Hostler. The one with the space witches was the Acolyte, which will go down in history as one of the biggest mockeries of Star Wars in the franchise's history. Legitimately, I think the Acolyte fight has actually been worse than The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. I legitimately think that Acolyte may have been worse than those. As crazy as it may sound, I think so. It's just, yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only thing it'll be remembered for. In addition to the fact that it was show run by Harvey Weinstein's secretary. Those are the Acolyte will be remembered for a couple of things. Number one, it was an absolute dog shit show with the power of one bullshit. That it was show run by a complete fucking narcissist Nazi feminist who was the personal assistant for Harvey Weinstein and starred just a fucking nutcase of an actress who claimed to be non-binary. And when people were criticizing the show, she actually wrote and published a diss track that she copyright claimed any person on YouTube that put out a reaction video or a critique video to it. She copyright claimed every fucking person that reacted to it. Acolyte was an absolute fucking travesty, and I don't think that I'm wrong in saying that it might have actually been worse than Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It was that fucking bad. I'll wait for that to pop off. Oh god, it's gonna be delayed. Oh no, he was too long. Yeah, Andrea, I've heard that from a lot of people who are gay. Like, nobody liked the Acolyte. The Acolyte was universally hated, and people still try to stand for it to this day. I remember a few months back, there was a news article saying, the Acolyte's actually coming back. And what it was is it was like a book. There was a source book for the Acolyte. And they were making it sound like the Acolyte was getting a season 2. And I could go on for too long about this. It was shit. The Acolyte was absolute dog shit. One of the worst things Disney has ever put on the celluloid.
Funny joke with no punchline, and the disaster of Season 3 has probably caused a lot of people to reassess their feelings on the previous two. Look past the cutesy puppets, the shameless nostalgia bait and the half-decent action scenes, and you begin to realise that it was still shallow, mindless slop. It was just packaged slightly better. So is there any way for Star Wars to come back to life at this point? Well, I'm no expert, but one thing I can tell you is that if it's been more than half a decade since your last movie, and that movie was Rise of Skywalker, then you really need to come back with the mother of all bangs if you expect to win people over again. And not
Yeah.
just one bang either, preferably several in a row to prove it wasn't a fluke and that there's still plenty of life left in your franchise. Somehow, I don't think The Mandalorian is going to accomplish any of those things. But hey, it's probably going to be amusing watching them try. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, Mandalorian's not going to save Star Wars. In fact, I think Mandalorian is only going to Mandalorian and Grogu, unfortunately, are probably only going to further cement what people have already said, which is Star Wars is dead. It's only going to solidify that opinion in people's minds. For those that actually go see it, I honestly don't think a lot of people are actually even going to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think it's gonna hit theaters. It's going to lose money. It's going to bomb. It's 100% going to bomb. There's no hope for this movie. We'll see though. We'll see. But mark my words. Fucking thing's gonna bomb.